Hi guys, it's Friday. So on a Friday, we are going to be experimenting with a few different types of videos. We're going to call them Let's Talk HMOs. So we want to talk about everything and anything to do with HMOs. We've got like different little videos that we're going to trial and sort of see what people like and don't like and if it's logistically good for us to do. So we are blagging it as we go along, but we've got it up here. I've got ideas. So actually, I think if you don't know who we are, I'm Ollie Collins and this is Alicia Vallis. We are the co-directors of VC Homes and VC Investments. And yeah, we'd love all your feedback on these types of videos. So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a comment, give us some ideas and feedback. If there's anything you want us to discuss or talk about, that'd be great, yeah. And we'd throw it in if it's a good idea. But today we're going to talk about our first ever HMO and we're going to discuss particularly the kitchen area. And we're going to show you what we did. So I'm going to pull up some plans here. So you can see, I guess, you know what, I'm going to hand it over to Alicia because she kind of did it all. But you can see here, this is the original like footprint of the house. In fact, this is the original footprint. And we added 2 extensions, but we're not going to talk about bedrooms and en-suites and stuff like that. We are going to talk about this area here, the extension for the kitchen. I'm going to hand it over to Alicia.
Okay, so the original idea, as you can see from these plans, were to have a kitchen come dining area, and then this, which was originally, I think, it was a room off the kitchen. This used to be the kitchen and this was just a room off the kitchen. So perhaps the dining room, I'm not quite sure what it was used for at that point. So this would then become the living area. And that was all fine, apart from, if you can see here, this wall doesn't quite meet here and there's a dog leg here. And that is because the drain lines across this property run diagonal across the back of the property. So there's literally a manhole about here, because there has to be, I can't remember the exact measurements, but there has to be a specific measurement from the manhole to any foundation. Yeah. So that was annoying, but there wasn't really anything we could do about it. But what that meant was to be able to fit everything that you need in an HMO into the kitchen. We couldn't actually have the dining space here because it took up too much room, and the dining space is actually in here, which is not ideal, but it's fine, it works, it's functional. So in here, what we have is units all along here and units all along here, and then we have a big tower unit here which houses 2 fridge freezers and a double oven. And then 2, if you can see this bit here, is not quite deep enough to get a full 600 deep unit. So we have 2 half depth units and then 2 on the wall as well. So it's kind of like sunken back here, if that makes sense.
But I think I should have some pictures here of the actual refurb side of things. No, wow. Badly organised, am I? Here it is. So you can see the footings here. Why is it doing that? Digging for the foundation.
Is there a picture of the manhole in any of them?
Let's have a look. Oh my days. Wow, struggling, aren't we? I'll get rid. I know exactly what's going on here. The manhole. I don't think so.
No. No, you still can't see it.
It's over here, isn't it?
Well, there is a manhole somewhere.
But yeah, I don't know if we can open all of these. I'll show you everything. I'm not sure they're in order. Again, we're blagging it, so sorry if this is a bit chaotic. But you can see here the footings. And then this was another extension we did here out the back, which we won't talk about. This was the original kitchen.
I think you can just about see the manhole there, isn't it? it is quite away from the foundations. I think it had to be 1 point something meters from the foundations, if I remember right. So it is quite a distance that it has to clear, which meant that we had that dog leg, obviously.
This is where we broke into the original house, obviously to create the doorway. That's the roof going on. Windows, doors. And voila.
Oh, there it is. You see, it's quite a distance away from the building, but we had to obviously have this. I think this was the closest you could get, or something like that. I can't quite remember now because it was quite a long time ago. But yeah, that's why we've got that annoying section.
Back to the plans. So essentially, that is the sort of designing bit of it. I wonder if I can show you. I found a quick little video filmed the wrong way, but you can see here. Let me go back. As you come in the front door, this is the lounge type area, and then walking through here. Starting to get an idea now of when it's complete. We're sort of whitewashing the first bit, kitchen units started to go in, and you can see how that sort of turned out. Now essentially, let's show you the finished product. We'll show it from the outside actually. I'll show you a few pictures here. Here it is. So this is the finished product, obviously the other extension.
And the manhole.
And you can see the drain there. And then we've actually got an air source heat pump, or an air pump. I always get it wrong, it's like the wrong way around. I call it an air source heat pump, but I'm pretty sure it's like the other way around. But let's show you the kitchen. Million photos. Here we go. So this is what we ended up doing, and this is what we created. Obviously in this space here, we've got a washing machine in there. And yeah, it was just 2 double fridge freezers, double oven. We've got an induction hob here. You've got enough 500 by 500 cupboard spaces for everyone in the house. It's a 6 bed, 6 bathroom house with enough cupboard spaces for all the other cutlery and all that sort of jazz. Cleaning products and dishwasher stuff and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was just nice. We've now obviously put blinds here. I mean, when we took pictures, we were sort of in a rush to get it done. Obviously, that doesn't look perfect. We've now got splashbacks as well and stuff like that. Oh, and that's the lounge space as well. Again, we don't even have the units on the front of the door, and the TV's now bigger. But yeah, essentially when you're designing a kitchen space, you've got to make it functional, haven't you, for HMO purposes. You've got to follow amenity standards and all that sort of stuff, and you've got to think about how 6 people are going to use the space.
So yeah, I mean, we wanted quite a lot of room in the middle of the room, because I don't think that 6 people are cooking at the same time, but should 6 people want to be in there at the same time, you don't want awkward units everywhere that everyone's bumping into one another. One of the reasons that we went for the induction hob as well is because it actually doubles up as workspace as well, because you can actually use it as,
Worktop, you can prep food on it.
Whereas obviously if you've got gas, gas is not ideal anyway, just because, not saying that people, are careless, but it's just another thing that is a potential hazard that a tenant could leave it on, or it's just a naked flame. So we prefer to just have induction, that there's no naked flames anywhere or whatever. But yes, then it also doubles up as a worktop, because with the gas rings, you've got obviously 3D sort of rings sticking out, so you can't actually use it. But that's why we went for that.
There's actually no gas at that property.
No.
It's all done on that air source heat pump, and we've actually got solar panels on the roof as well. So it's a very unique house. We've never done another HMO like that, actually, to be fair. But we might save that for another video.
It's quite a green property.
Yeah. So that was this is the first ever HMO we ever did, wasn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, most of what we've put in here, we've carried on through other HMOs. So this, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's our signature, but this...
beautiful couple. So I'm trying to get a picture here.
This combination here, where we've got the 2 fridge freezers and the double oven in the middle, is something that we put in pretty much all of our properties, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that's not got that combination in there. And the reason being is because if you think about it, the fridge freezers are like the tall units in the room, and they kind of are quite dominating. So you kind of want to keep them like together and in a position that's not going to block light and all them sorts of things you've got to bear in mind. The oven, if you put an oven under a worktop, even if it's a double oven, it's still smaller. So to maximise as big an oven as we can get, we've gone for a double oven in a tower unit. But obviously a tower unit then becomes tall and the same sort of height as a fridge freezer. So that's why we've gone for the combination there. Now, aesthetically, because sometimes people say, well, can you put an oven in between 2 fridge freezers? Because obviously you've got something that's really hot next to things that are supposed to keep things cold. But it's fine. You can do that. It doesn't affect one another. It doesn't mean that the oven's going to heat up the fridge freeze, whatever. They're built so that things can be next to one another. What was I going to say? Yeah, so also having them tall like that means that in terms of safety, you know, they're sort of like, you know, this sort of height, so you can pull things out easily. We wanted as well, so there's something that's called like the triangle in a kitchen, and you should have your washing station and your oven and your food, your fridge, you know, that sort of area in a kind of triangle shape, so that you're kind of taking food out of one thing, you can put it down somewhere, you can wash things up. So yeah, I mean, we've kind of got like a straight line rather than a triangle, but it works for us, it works well. Under here, this is kind of a cupboard where
they use it for recycling.
Yeah, so in this one it's
bucket in there.
We did start putting drawers in some of the properties so that you could put all the oven ware, if you like the baking trays and oven dishes and all them sorts of things underneath. But drawers are actually quite expensive, so having just a door and then actually having somewhere that you can put the recycling works quite well. So we have it's like a builder's bucket kind of thing, and we put that underneath, and that's easy for people to just put the recycling in and then put in the recycling bin afterwards, because it's got handles and it's sturdy.
But everything that goes into the recycling should be washed and cleaned, so it's never, that cupboard doesn't ever smell because everything is nice and clean in that one. Above it they put for this particular property, which is ours, we provide kitchen roll, bin liners, fairy liquid, anything that's shared for the housemates, so they store it all in this cupboard up here, so people know to go to that cupboard, and then on my monthly inspections I can check the cupboard and check the stock levels quite easily. But also, I guess, talking about bins, you've also, when you're designing the kitchen, you've got to think about where you're going to put your normal waste bin as well. So we've actually got ours here, and it doesn't look it in the picture, but it does actually work quite well for the kitchen. It is there, isn't it? Yeah. And it's quite
a freestanding bin.
Yeah, freestanding bin. But you've got to think about bins, where you're going to put your recycling and stuff like that. In Crawley, there's no food bin, so we've only got 2 bins to worry about, so to speak. So yeah.
So one thing that we find works quite well is having a drawer unit for pots and pans. So this goes under the hob. Obviously, some people have an oven there, but as I've just said, we prefer to have the oven in a tower unit. So this then gets used for cutlery at the top, pots and pans in here, and then drawers are also another good thing to have. So we've got this one which just has tea towels and utensils and whatnot. And then, as Ollie said before, everyone has their 500 by 500 cupboard space, or alternatively you can have 2 wall units that are 500 wide, but they're obviously 30 deep, so that's actually more space than a 500 by 500. But this one actually here is a 600, so this tenant actually gets a little bit more space than anyone else. And then if we go round to the back, sorry, this bit here is what I was saying about the half unit. So you can't actually see it really from this angle, but there's actually 2 wall units here and 2 wall units on the floor here. So that is actually enough for 2 separate tenants there. These ones that go over the top here are quite nice. They have all the tenants' washing powders and washing detergents and whatever. And we didn't want to put it all the way to the end because, as you can see, it would hit the window there. So it stops there, which maybe looks a bit odd, but there's nothing really you can do about that.
But it kind of works because when you're using the sink, you don't have it above your head,
face.
if that makes sense. So it is quite practical.
Yeah.
It doesn't block light.
Another thing is that you need to have one sink and a dishwasher, or you can have a sink and a half and a slimline dishwasher, or you can have 2 sinks and no dishwasher. So that is the standards in Crawley, what you need.
But I'll tell you what, but that's another whole different video you could do on it. Do you or do you not put a dishwasher into your HMOs? So I think it's actually worth touching upon now. We personally do, as we like to target the high-end part of the market. You're trying to accommodate and include as much as possible. So as an example, we do, and I think, you know, you've got all this, do they look after it, blah, 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 blah. Like, yes and no. We obviously remind them to and stuff like that, but I think if we take responsibility of it, it really works. So part of our cleaners, one of their things is to check for debris in the bottom of it, give it a rinse out, make sure the salt is topped up, the rinse aid, which we provide. We also provide the dishwasher tablets. So I bring 90 tablets every 3 months, so they can put it on once a day. But it swings and roundabouts, because some people they'll have their dinner and they'll just wash up their one plate, one cup, and one knife and fork or whatever, and a glass, and they just might boom, 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 job done. Obviously, if with different shift patterns, people might end up leaving the dishwasher and it just kind of clogs up and builds up without anyone doing it. But every time I sort of move someone in, I sort of say, like, when I used to work in an office, whoever came in first in the morning would unload the dishwasher. At the end of the day, everyone puts their stuff in and then they put it on. So that was my thinking of providing them 1 dishwasher tablet a day, that they could do that. Generally, we have adults, we don't rent to children, so they work it out themselves, and it's been great, really. We've had 1 dishwasher break through. It seems a bit of negligence, but we don't manage the cleaner in that property, actually, so I'm not sure whether they're doing their checks on that or not. But all the ones that we manage the cleaners, we've not actually had any issues so far. So we think, yes, put a dishwasher in, because it does differentiate. It's just another thing of value in a house, isn't it, that you provide. So we are in agreement. And also tumble dryers. You can't see a tumble dryer in here. We couldn't fit one into here. We've actually got one in the garage of this property. So lucky for us, our handyman actually lives in this house. So he, for free, ran the cables out to the garage, because he's an electrician by trade as well. So we've got the house a tumble dryer, and yeah, that works. It works for the house. Again, it's just another thing to add. But I'm sure we'll probably talk about this in a later video, because do you put a coin meter on it or not? But yeah, we like to go all in. I mean, we don't put granite worktops, and we don't provide, I don't know, coffee machines and stuff like that, because where do you stop? But you could.
So let's talk now about things that we would do differently if we were doing this one again.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
So, I mean, a quick one which has been solved anyway. We didn't put any curtains or blinds or anything up here, and obviously when the tenants moved in, they said, because you can't see from these pictures, but at the front here is like a walkway. I mean, it is quite far from the house. It's it's good, sort of like 7-8 meters from the house, but still, the tenants said they felt like they were being overlooked at night time. So simple solution, we just put a blind in here. That wasn't a problem. The other thing is, again, you probably can't notice it here, but this is actually a thin worktop, so it's not your standard thickness. It was a problem, because, which we didn't realise until we bought it, and then the kitchen fitter was trying to fit it, that the joins that go, so again, you can't see from the pictures, but here along where the hob is, you've got one length of worktop that goes this way, and then this one which is 90 degrees to that one, and then they need to be joined in the middle. So normally people put a bar, a metal chrome bar, whatever, down the middle, and that's easy because both worktops then butt up against that bar. But because this one is a thin worktop, it doesn't actually, they don't actually make the bars in that, or at the time they didn't, they may do now, but they didn't actually make those bars, so we had to mitre it together, which again, it wasn't a problem, but just something to bear in mind next time. And actually from that point onwards, we've gone for the standard thickness, because sometimes it's just not worth the extra little problems that come up to have something like this, which is not your standard sort of size, width, length, depth, whatever. It's better to just sort of go with standard things, because then there's more solutions if problems come up. And the other thing is the floor. So in here, and actually in the property we did after this, the floor is actually a lino sort of vinyl floor, which is warm. It's got benefits. It's warm, it's cheap, it looks nice, because you know, it's not the same as like in the 90s where these sorts of floors were pretty grim. They actually are quite good quality and quite good style. It looks wood effect, but it's nice to walk on and warm, and like I said, but the problem with it is that it rips very easily, which is what we found out, because the washing machine was pulled out here and it's ripped a hole in the floor.
I did that.
Yeah.
But do you know what? It actually, you can't actually notice it. If we didn't tell you and you walked in, you wouldn't notice it unless I explicitly like pulled it out. And it was quite a big, it was almost like well, you think of a foot on a washing machine or whatever. It took quite a big chunk out, but it's flattened out really well, and genuinely you can't notice it. So this flooring is like 3 years old, and it's really holding out quite well.
Yeah. But I think just moving forward, you know, we've moved over to LVT flooring. It's just harder wearing.
Luxury vinyl style.
It's really great if you do. I mean, it's pretty indestructible, but if you do manage to destroy one of the tiles, you actually only have to remove that one tile. You don't have to move the whole floor. Whereas obviously with this, because it's one sheet, if you do seriously damage it, then you have to replace the whole thing. So we wouldn't really put that in again, although like I said, we did do it in the HMO after this, and then realised actually there's a better product, and this was getting damaged. So yeah, we don't do that anymore. And the last thing in this place, we found in IKEA, they were doing like these sheets of what do you call it, like they were used as like backsplash. It's like waterproof, wipeable, all this sort of stuff, and looked like a really neat idea to put here. And it actually looks fine behind the hob, but where it doesn't look fine is that we did it up to here, along here, and because you've got, like I said, we haven't got the continuum of the wall units here, actually to then have this quite tall unit that goes along here and then carries on, it just looks a bit odd. So we are going to change that at some point. We've sort of been waiting to find tiles that would look better along there.
So it's a shame I don't have a picture. It doesn't look odd as such. It looks like a professional kitchen, because you know, like a professional kitchen, you'd find like you'd have stainless steel stuff, if that makes sense. So it looks, because we've actually put like a big sort of like utensil holder thing here, so they all dangle down there. So it does look kind of like a professional kitchen, but it's not quite.
It's not quite right. We're not quite happy with it.
I think if we just whack some nice tiling in there, it will just make it feel a bit more homely as opposed to a professional kitchen, so to speak.
So other than that, there's not really anything else we'd change. It was just those couple of items. We were happy with it. I mean, like I said, ideally we wanted to have the dining area in here, but there just wasn't enough room to be able to fit all of the cupboards that we needed, and a dining space, mainly because of the dog leg. In hindsight, maybe we could have made the extension a little bit bigger, perhaps, and then we would have made more space to then be utilised.
I think it's fine. I mean, if I look at where the dining room table is, actually now they've turned that the other way, so you've actually got more of a walkway space. Because, you know, not all 6 people in a house share jump on a table at the same time. You know, you only have 1 or 2, normally one person, you know, eating their dinner at the same time. So this kind of works. You know, we've got a nice big 42-inch TV now on the wall. If not bigger, I can't remember. But it just, yeah, the space is quite nice. It kind of works. It flows. We've got USB plug points here, one on this side, which, yeah, we won't go into the lounge, but...
Well, one of just going in the lounge quickly, one of the things, again, that we learned, we got all the curtains for all the bedrooms, which obviously are all blackout curtains. And then this one is the same as the ones in the bedrooms. But so we bought it. It wasn't, you know, it was a fairly good price, whatever. However, it's a blackout curtain, so that was probably wrong to buy for the lounge, because actually, when you go in the morning and the curtains are drawn, it's quite dark in there basically. So yeah, again, there's just little things that you learn going along.
Yeah, but no. So essentially, this is the other angle. Essentially, that's it. I think we've waffled on enough. Anything else to add?
Nope.
I think that's it. I mean, hopefully that's a little bit slightly interesting. We can show you other kitchens that we've done. This was the very first one, so we've done probably, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 odd kitchens now. So yeah, if this video was any good, leave us a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll do a video tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.